Welcome back. Making progress. I would like to be on the water. Tomorrow we have an event. It's like a boat parade. We call it the Blessing of the Fleet. I don't think I'm gonna make it though. Still have a lot to do. A lot's been done. Still need to do a lot of sanding, painting. Cabin needs another coat of paint. Waiting on my Dynaflex to dry. I need to come sand all this and redo my blue, redo my gray. And I've got another strip like that I'm adding to the top. Just haven't made it yet. Handrails are done. I still have to take time to pull all these barrels off and seal them. When I built this one, it was before I sealed the barrels, before I got in that process. I was relying on the factory rubber seals that came with the caps. Didn't turn out too well. I got 5 barrels that after I installed valve stems, I'm at the pressure up at 1.5 psi of air, and I can hear them leaking out the caps. So every barrel's gonna come off one by one eventually. Not in danger of sinking or anything. Front door, built a new front door, all wood. I like the construction method I chose. If I had this all to do over again, the whole cabin would be built like the door. And again, I'm still waiting on my spray foam before I worry about doing my ceilings and interior. Interior still bare. As stated, waiting on spray foam, waiting on right weather conditions, and to have the time to schedule in this job. Is a very small job. I am in the spray foam industry. It's kind of what I do for a living. It's hard to schedule a small job because this job doesn't pay a lot. So that means for us to do this job, we have to skip a good day of working on a high payout job to come do this. This is pocket change. It's going to be cheap to spray foam. Planning on 1-inch thick on the walls, an average of 1-inch thick, and I'm going to try to get an 1.5 inches on the ceiling. I still have some more studs to add across right here, just like this. Not that needed for roof support. The roof is 100% walkable. I need the studs here for when I do my ceiling. I plan on doing like a shiplap out of some lightweight wood. I need something to attach the wood. But it's be a while before I do the ceiling. I say a while. First comes spray foam, then electrical and plumbing. Then I'll start sheeting the interior, and then I'll build the shower. That's about the size of my shower pan. I'm tripping on my wood. May make it a little bigger, slightly bigger, and then I'll have room in this area for my toilets. About where that battery ends is where my bathroom wall is going to be. It's going to have its own little bathroom with a cassette toilet. The door that I made, that I said knowing what I know now, I would have built the whole cabin this method. That is an Morocco 3/8 plywood. It weighs about 35 pounds per sheet. This plywood is regular interior plywood. I've got a lot of problem with it buckling and waving every time moisture and humidity sets in. I think on my last video, I showed a very bad buckle right here, but that buckle went away on its own because it dried out a little more. I'm still going to add a supporting strong back on the wall to prevent the buckle. Once the foam is sprayed, the buckling is going to stop. If you're not familiar with the spray foam, the strength it adds is a tremendous amount of strength. Anyway, back to what I was saying. If I'd known, my local lumber yard could have got 3/8 Morocco. Morocco, if you've been following along, that's what I built my console out of, and that's what my deck is, 1/2 inch Morocco. It is a very nice wood. It's a pine wood that's treated with resins, and the layers and veneers are glued up with an epoxy resin. It's slowly taking the place of fir plywood marine applications. It's a cabinet grade plywood, and down here in Louisiana, a lot of people build cabinets out of this for after a hurricane. If you get water in your house, your cabinets are probably going to survive if you use this Morocco. these wooden strips. It's poplar. Now, poplar's a hardwood. I'm not sure if it's waterproof qualities, but it's on the inside of the boat. I don't need it to be waterproof. I made my door frame out of poplar. What I don't like about poplar, let me show you the piece right here. This one piece, it's a nice hardwood. It's very light. It's a lot lighter than the wall studs I chose, and a lot stronger. What I don't like is about a little over 12 bucks a piece, but its strength and lightness. This is a mobile home stud, smaller than a 2x4. This weighs about 2 to 3 pounds a piece is average on these. I weighed a bunch of them before I decided to use this to build my cabin. Because I use this, it's a weaker wood, it's a soft wood, I had to put a lot more studs. I believe every 20 inches, and then wherever I got a plywood gap, I installed another one. So every 20 inches apart, I had to put one of these studs, which added up to my weight. And then I sheeted with the plywood as stated. I think 25 to 30 pounds per sheet for regular 3/8 indoor plywood. And that's not a great plywood. At the time when I was building my cabin, my local lumberyard could only get a Rocco in 1/2 inch. It's $38 a sheet of 3/8 versus regular plywood. I believe it's $22 or $24 a sheet of regular plywood. Had I known my lumberyard was getting a shipment of 3/8 a Rocco, I would have waited. I would have paid the extra price. It would have cost me $200 more to sheet the cabin in a Rocco, and it would have cost me probably $300 more to make all my studs, $200 to $300 more to make out of poplar. But with the poplar, I could have used less studs to gain the same amount of strength, and my cabin would have turned out at least 500 pounds lighter. I've done some rough calculations. I mean, I'm not at all disappointed how this turned out. I don't want you to get a sense that I'm disappointed and I regret doing it this way. I'm glad I did the way I did. It's a learning experience. My whole cabin weighs probably around 1,000 pounds, maybe a little less. I didn't weigh every stud. I would take 4 of them and I would get an average weight. And then the same thing to plywood. I actually weighed 3 sheets of plywood and I got an average. They were all within a pound of each other. That's how I calculated my weight. I do have treated for the main roof truss and treated for the main roof braces, and this is deck boards for my runners to give the roof more support, and this is also deck boards. So that's some weight that I think I needed. My roof is very strong. 2 people could easily walk on this roof, and I turtle backed it. Water drains off nicely. But had I gone with the Rocco from the start, which is that's the Rocco right there, it's a pretty sanded plywood with a minimal amount of knots and defects. Had I gone with the Rocco from the start, I would not have had to do the poor man's fiberglass. And again, with all that said, I don't regret the poor man's fiberglass. It's something I've been wanting to try for years. I've been knowing about poor man's fiberglass, and I always wanted a project. I just really didn't want my first project with a poor man's fiberglass to be as big as this 8x12 cabin. But it's done. It's on there. Can't change it. It came out good. I didn't sand it like some people do. Some people sand it, some people iron it while applying it. I didn't do that. And I didn't have a video of me doing it. This is getting trimmed. That's why I didn't worry about this. This is just painter's canvas from Harbor Freight drop cloth, 9x12. I came home, put it in the dryer, get all the wrinkles out, folded it up. I used Tight Bond 3 with a paint roll to roll under the wood, and then I stretched the canvas over it and waited for it to dry. There's a couple ways to do poor man's fiberglass. One method is after the canvas is on, the glue dries, you put another layer of glue and you encapsulate the canvas into glue. I didn't want to take that route. One, because of the price of Tight Bond 3, it was like 40 bucks a gallon. I used 3.5 gallons on this project. I chose to go with another variant of it where the paint provides the strength and the waterproofing. And one of the reasons I chose that, the paint is pretty tough. If you paint over glue, the paint, if you rub against something, the paint can scratch off, exposing the glue, which really isn't a problem because the Titebond 3 is a 100% waterproof glue. Titebond 2 is not. But if you can use Titebond 2 for poor man's fiberglass because it's being covered and sealed with paint. In a perfect world, water's never going to hit it. But I went the extra step and got a waterproof glue. And I use a quality exterior paint made for barns and fences. It's a Glidden water-based. First coat, I thin 25% water to really absorb and soak in the canvas. The roof has 3 coats. The first coat was thin 25% and 2 additional coats of straight paint. The sides only have 2 coats. The first coat was 25% water thin to soak through the canvas, and I put 1 coat of straight paint on the sides. What I should have done, but weather wasn't permitting, I was running out of time. I need to get this thing sealed up. I should have put 2 more coats on the sides and maybe 2 more coats on the ceiling before I installed my windows and my handrails and, you know, started making this thing presentable and look like a little houseboat. So now when it comes time for me to do my paint, I'm gonna have to do a lot of prep work, taping everything off, which I'm not looking forward to. I hate paint and I hate prep work. It's one of the things about my job with foam I really hate is prep work and paint. When a customer wants us to paint their foam after we spray it, it's such an easy job. I hate it. Painting is not for me. Do what I got to do, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. The interior, again, let me explain the spray foam I'm waiting for. Once the spray foam's done, I'm gonna start running all my electrical and my plumbing. I'm gonna put this thing back in the water one more time before I do my interior to try to figure out my balance. Right now in the water, my bow is 1.5 inches higher than my stern. I think I'm gonna try to keep that balance because most of the time passengers are gonna be right here in the front of the boat, which is gonna bring that bow down. So if I level out my bow with my weight, distribute it to where when the boat's just sitting there, it's level. When I put passengers, I'm gonna be diving down the bow. So I think I'm gonna leave the bow high. Still undecided about water tank placement. Initially my water tank was going here. It still may go there. I need to figure out my batteries. To test this thing, I done drilled holes in my deck. I had a temporary battery box right here. That's where my battery was stored, and when I wasn't riding, I could lock my fuel tank in there, disconnect the battery, lock the fuel tank in there. And this thing stayed in the water for about 2 months because I needed the trailer, because with my floating dock business, this trailer pulls double duty. It's for this houseboat and it's also for my floating dock business. Which, if you're not familiar with that, go ahead and check it out. I do some pretty cool things with barrels. This is tri-tuna barrels as well. So anyway, back to what I was saying, I get off track. You gotta love it. Thank y'all for sticking around this long. Spray foam, electrical, plumbing. I have almost all my electrical paid for. Almost all of my plumbing is paid for. Pretty much all my appliances, everything's paid for. I have everything to do this. I just don't have the time and opportunity. So once foam's in, electrical's ran, plumbing's ran, and I'm satisfied everything's where I'm gonna leave it, I'm gonna start sheeting the walls. I'm probably putting some 3/16 Luan because I have 11 sheets that's paid for. It's been paid for quite a while. A couple years ago I bought like 70 sheets, redone the interior of my house, and I had 12 or 13 sheets left over, so it's just been stockpiled. So I think it's about time to use it. It's real light ply. It's not waterproof, but really, if I get water inside the cabin, whether I chose waterproof plywood or not, waterproof substrate to put on my walls is not my issue. My issue is, why do I have water on the inside of my boat? But it's lightweight, it's paid for. That's probably what I'm gonna go with. The shower, I'm not buying a shower pan. I'm probably gonna try to build my own shower pan. I'm actually thinking about poor man's fiberglass. Make a complete shower, a stand-up shower stall, wrap it in canvas, glue, and paint. and just continue to poor man's fiberglass theme. And here in Southeast Louisiana, I'm gonna get some more clarification on wildlife and fisheries. But I did call them, and they told me gray water from a shower or a sink is legal to discharge in my local waterways. Now, if I go to a place, let's say if I lived in Florida, that's a no-no. You have to have some kind of a holding tank with the capability to pump out. Down here, there's no places to pump out. We're country bayou towns. We're not like other states. Their waterways have docks, like fuel docks and a pump out station, and you can rent slips. So we don't really have that here. But back to saying about the discharge, it's legal to discharge gray water in my sink. My toilet, I have a cassette toilet. That's going to serve its purpose fine. I thought about building the shower a little bigger to where the cassette toilet could be stored in the shower, and the shower becomes dual purpose to where it's a bathroom and a shower. That would give me more interior room. I'm still throwing that idea up in the air, but I like the fact that I'll have a separate bathroom. I'm going to have another wall stud somewhere in here. That's where my wall is going to connect to my bathroom. I think I measured out, it's like almost 50 inches by 32 or 33 inches wide. My bathroom is going to come to about right here. And this is going to have like not really a pocket door. I would like to do a pocket door, but I don't think I'm going to do that. It's like a rustic, I think it's called a barn style door. It hangs on a track on the top with some rollers where the door slides. I think that's what I'm going to do with the door. For now, I may just get a shower curtain because it's just me and the wife that's going to be playing with this. But I would like to put a door on it, a separate door. I have to order a vent fan to put on the ceiling. I think I'm going to like having a full stand-up shower with a separate toilet. That way when it's time to get dressed and dry off, you don't have to do it in a wet shower. You can step out of it, dry off, get dressed, do what you got to do, and walk on out and you're good. And again, in another video, I mentioned a small kitchen counter. That's going to go, it's be about a 22-inch counter, which is around where this stud is. It's going to leave me a couple inches away from the door. A 22-inch counter. It's going to, there's going to be a cabinet underneath to about right here. There's going to be solid cabinet space. The countertop is going to extend further. This will be a floating countertop. So come out to about somewhere around this window. And the purpose of that, of leaving this hollow under the countertop, I'm building a long bench right here. I say long bench, about 6.5 foot, maybe 7 foot. I want to leave it enough to where it could be an additional bed. It would be a bench seat during the day. I'm not going to put a captain's chair in here. I'm going to probably build an armrest on one side of this bench, if I've got the room, with a cushion for me to just sit on and lean on. I don't want to be sitting down all day while driving this thing, just getting fat. So I think standing on my feet is going to be doable and important. You know, maybe I can put a swing out chair on the wall, just a rest. I'll address that when I get to it. I'm still undecided about this bench right here, but I've got nothing else to put here. So I think a bench would be beneficial in case I get a third person, because we're a family of 4, but one of my children doesn't live with me. My daughter is 21. She lives on her own, her and her boyfriend. My son is 15. He's still here. It's not often he'll come out with us, but I would like to have the capability to sleep a third person right there. As stated in a previous video, I'm gonna have a futon. I have a nice futon that folds out to a full-size bed. So that's the plan for the layout. A lot of people ask me about interior pictures. They seen the outside of the boat. The interior it's not built yet, but it's coming. Everything's paid for, as stated. Locally, I have a fan following. A lot of places I go, people ask me about it. We're a small 2-road town. Like this morning, I went to Napa. Had to pick up some oil filters for the vehicles. Got to do an oil change. Something else I have to schedule in. And one of the guys at Napa, I'm friends with him on Facebook. And the first thing he asked me if I was putting this thing in the water for the boat blessing tomorrow, the blessing of the fleet. And I said, no, the boat's not ready. Which really, it's ready to put in the water. It's ready to ride. And just tomorrow is going to be probably 100 boats or more running up and down the bayou. It's going to be congested. I could go out and play tomorrow, but I've got a lot of stuff to do. Plus, my dad asking me to go grill food for them for the blessing of the fleet. I've been doing it for the past 3 years. My dad currently lives on the bayou since Hurricane Ida. He's living in his brother's house temporarily, but it's been 3 years. So every year we go over there to boat blessing. I grill food for everybody. They drink, have a good old time, and we watch the boats. Growing up as a kid in Chauvin, Louisiana, which for those of you that read it don't know how to pronounce it, it's Chauvin. That's how it sounds, Chauvin. It's spelled Chauvin. A lot of people that are not from around here call it Chauvin or some weird name. And there's a town called Houma, Houma. That's our next closest town. A lot of people call it Houma because they don't know. When you never heard of a town's name, you never heard of it. And I do the same thing when I see other towns on the map. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. But when I was a kid, it's always a tradition for the boat blessing. It's like a boat parade if you're not familiar with it. They don't throw nothing. It's not like Mardi Gras or Christmas parade. Sometimes they'll throw you a beer if you ask. You know, it's just a bunch of people. The Pope rides on the first boat. The purpose of it is the Catholic Church blesses the fleet for the upcoming shrimp season, which opens up real soon. They pick a boat every year to be the first boat for the Pope to ride on. I'm not into all that. I'm not deep into religion. Most of the people down here, they don't do it because it's a church thing. They do the boat blessing because it's an outdoor fun event that involves water sports, being out there with your family, grilling food and drinking and just having a good time. And that's what Down the Bay is about. And that's what this houseboat's about, having a good time. I've done got so many offers on this boat, people don't want to buy it right now. And I'm not ready to sell it. I like this boat. I would like to use it. I mean, money talks, but I still want to use it. I put a lot of hours into here. I've got close to $7,000 total investment in this thing. And look, I've got some used parts in here. All these windows are used. If I was to buy these camper windows brand new, I probably got $2,000 worth of camper windows if I have to buy this new. And another aspect, if I sell it, I don't have a motor. Which this motor, I got a real good deal on it. I've got $600 invested in this 9.8 Daihatsu. The story behind this motor, I'm gonna stray off target a little bit, but this way you have a better understanding of the finances I have tied up in here and why it cost me what I think is little to build this. I had a 79 O'Day 25 sailboat sitting in my backyard. I was gonna fix it. I wound up picking it up. I went and picked it up from the Red River, and then I picked up another sailboat because I needed a trailer. I was gonna ride the sailboat from the Red River through Lake Maurepas, Lake Pontchartrain, hit a short section in the Mississippi, take I think it's the Algiers locks, or might be the Harvey locks, jump into the Intercoastal Waterway and ride it on down to Chauvin. It was like a 130-mile trip. Well, when I bought that boat, the guy was running out of time. His lease at the dock at Red River, which is a beautiful place. I think it's called Red River Landing. It's nice, very nice people. It's like a mobile home community for boats. You know, it's beautiful out there. Anyway, it was at the end of November, and if the boat was there by December 1st, it would have cost the guy an additional $250 to keep the boat moored there. Well, it was after Hurricane Ida. The hurricane broke his mast in half, and the guy was discouraged with the boat, wanted it gone, but the boat couldn't stay there. It had to leave ASAP. Or if you wanted to leave it there, I would have had to either sign a six-month lease to agree to pay $250 a month. But the harbor master, after the fact, when I went to pick up the boat, the harbor master told me, man, if you'd have just told me you need to stay here for a couple of weeks, we could have worked something out. But anyway, I bought another sailboat just to get the trailer to go pick up that boat the last day in November in 2021, I think. Anyway, I brought the sailboat home. I didn't have much time to inspect anything. But what I did do before I bought it, a week before I went and bought a sailboat, I went and look at it. The sailboat wasn't as in nice condition as the guy advertised. He was asking $1,800 for it. He advertised, you know, you can just pull the mast off, crank in the motor, and cruise it down the river and use it as a camper. It was ready to go. Well, I went and looked at it. The boat had a lot of interior rot. The transom was bad. He had nice looking interior, but it was all painted over rot. Apparently he had a leak on the deck, and it's been leaking for years, and it rotted the interior of the boat. So I offered him less. I said, hey, look, man, it's a 2.5 hour drive for me. I said, look, I'm not interested in buying the boat for $1,800. It's too much work. It came with a 9.8 Tohatsu 2000, I think a 2008 model. It was an extra long 25-inch lower unit. The choke lever was broken on the carburetor, and he said a piece for the propeller was missing. So I went over there and looked at it. It wasn't just a piece for the propeller missing. They spun the busher in the prop, so you couldn't ride the boat if you wanted to. And the carburetor choke lever was broken, and it had a part missing from the carburetor. So it ran, but it was a real high idle. It wasn't reliable, kept stalling. You know, so I offered him $800. We agreed on it. Met at a bar with a notary, and we signed the paperwork, notarized title. I left. I came home with that boat. It sat in my yard for about 2 years. I discovered the entire deck was rotten on it and needed to be replaced. Which, if you look up on a sailboat about recoring a deck, it's not something easy to do. And this wasn't that great of a sailboat. Like I said, if the interior would have been good and it would have had a mast ready to sail, just had a bad deck, maybe I would have kept that project and pursued it to make it a nice boat. But anyway, it didn't. So I put that boat for sale. I want to say $1,500 for the fact that I had a trailer. It had a very nice double axle trailer. The trailer was in great shape. It came with a bad boat. I had so many messages. People wanted the trailer. They wanted to buy just the trailer, leave the boat here, and I didn't want to do that. I thought about taking the lead out of the keel because I make my own ammo for one of my air guns, and it had like 1,800 pounds of lead. That's enough bullets for the rest of my life. You know, but then I got to cut up a sailboat, and I just didn't have time for that. I sold it for $1,000 to a guy in Alabama. He came take the whole boat just for the trailer. Well, that same night he left with that boat, I came across a 1979 O'Day 25, same exact boat, but in way better condition on a trailer for, I believe, $1,600. So I had $1,000 from the sale of my other O'Day, but it came with this motor. This is a 20-inch transom, and it had a really good motor. So it's like I traded my other boat and I put $600 extra, and I gained a good motor. It came in a control box, a compass, a brand new battery. So I think I got my money's worth. That's how I came across this motor. The trailer, I got the trailer for free. It cost me $300 for the paperwork. I say I got the trailer for free. I went and do some work. I sold a floating dock to an elderly couple. I was supposed to just, actually they were going to pick it up. Well, they paid for the dock. Their plans fell through. They wanted to know if I could deliver it, and they were gonna have somebody there to help me launch it. And I was gonna tow it back to their property. Well, it turned out their people didn't show up, so I delivered it and I hand launched it by myself because they couldn't do anything except hold the rope. After all the hard work I'd done to get their dock secured and in a place for them, the guy said, "Hey man, I got this pontoon trailer." He said, "Are you interested in it?" I said, "Yeah, let's go look at it." He said, "Yep, I'll take it. Does it have a title?" He said, "Yes, I'll definitely take it." And that's how I started. It started with a trailer and a pile of barrels, and that's where I'm at today. And then, like I said, I got all my camper windows were used. All the lumber is brand new. So I say I got almost $7,000 invested. I didn't pay anything for the windows. Windows were free. My uncle scraps for a living. And then my neighbor across the street had a camper that he was tearing down, so I got windows from both of them. And I lucked out. I had 3 matching windows, and I had 2 long ones. I actually had 3 long ones. I wanted another 3rd long one to put another long one here, but a pane was broken on it, and they want $300 just for the glass that goes in that camper window. It's a tempered glass and cut curve. An aftermarket place will build me the same glass for $200, and so I just passed on it because at the time money was tight. All my funds from profits from building floating docks, almost all of it went to this. That's how I was able to afford this. A little at a time. I've been building this for at least 8 months. So for me to put a price in here is very hard. I've got about 300 hours minimum of labor in here. I would like to say it's 400 hours of labor on here. And I'm not a carpenter, but I would like to average my labor at about $300 an hour. I mean, $30 an hour. You know, that's just a lot of money. An older couple came by. I don't know how they found out about the houseboat. Someone they knew that knew someone else said that a guy was building a houseboat in the backyard at this address. There's a bunch of barrels in the front yard. You can't miss the house. So while I was working on this, I think I was getting ready to put windows in, actually. An older guy named William, nice guy, came walk around the house and, hey man, I hate to bother you, and I would like to come check out your houseboat and what you're doing. And we got to talking. After about 30 minutes of talking, I didn't know his wife was still in the vehicle. His wife got down, came to look at it, and they started talking money, what it would cost to build. I told them what I had invested, and they said, well, how much for this one right now in the condition it's in, with unfinished interior, no handrails. And we agreed that $10,000 would be my lowest, and they agreed that was a very fair price. They're going to be in the market in a few months' time. They're going to contact me if I don't have this one. They want me to build them one like this or slightly bigger. This one's a 8 by 22 foot hull sitting on 18-foot tri-tunes with an 8 by 12 cabin. They were happy with the size, but they're gonna figure out a layout they want, and they're gonna present it to me, and I'm gonna come up with a price to build them one. It wasn't my intention to start building houseboats for people because of the amount of time it takes. So if I do start building houseboats, I'm gonna have to leave my regular job, which I don't want to leave my boss in a bind. He's a really good guy. He takes care of me. I take care of him. We have a good working relationship. If I don't want to work, we don't work. If he don't want to work, we don't work. You know, that's the bonus of a small business. You're not obligated to where you have to hustle, work, and find a job, or you can't pay your bills. Yeah. Not saying I'm gonna get in the houseboat building business. What I would like to do is get in the houseboat building business. I would like to design my own pontoon. I would like to build some 8 by 25 foot fiberglass tri-tune hulls and just build on top of that, and you know, sell some little one-off custom houseboats. There's nothing wrong with the barrels, but this one's built with flat barrels. It's more efficient in the water flowing than a regular curved barrel. Curved barrels will work. You see it's got that little side arch and those little humps, which is really ain't a bad thing. Flat barrels are hard to come by. These barrels are over $200 a piece if I were to buy them brand new. My business relies on used barrels because of the price of new barrels. It's gonna be hard to afford for me to build something like this and take a gamble on it selling. I know it's gonna sell eventually, but I'm not ready to sell yet. There was a gentleman in North Carolina, spoke with him. He was talking about turnkey, ready to go on this trailer with this motor, 15,000. But that requires me to deliver it to North Carolina. It's about an 18-hour drive to get there. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money. It's really not, because in order for me to replace this, my next one, I'm gonna have to buy new windows, a new trailer. The trailer's $4,500 to replace this trailer, which I'm gonna have to replace the axle on this one. There's a 3,000 or 3,500 pound axle. She weighs about 2,500 pounds right now, so I'm almost maxed out by the time I put my interior. So I may upgrade to a single 5,000 pound axle, or go to a double axle trailer. I'm trying to keep these builds half ton towable. So if I would sell this, I'm looking at 4,500 for a trailer minimum, and I would like a bigger motor. I would go with 25 horsepower. That's almost 5,000 by itself. So right there, I've got $10,000 of expense to build my next one, and camper windows and RV doors, all the accessories, the furniture. If I was to build everything brand new, I've probably got $14,000 of parts that I have to buy just to build it. You know, that's why it's be hard for me to sell. And at $15,000, I think it will be a bargain. The boat is very stable. I've got a couple of videos of me riding it. Everybody, not everybody, a lot of people doubted the stability and whether this will work out, that it would be too top heavy and it's not going to float high, I'm going to sink, and don't go play in wind. Well, that logic of don't go play in wind, that applies to every boat. Every boat, you know, you got to watch your weather before you go out and play. I've had this out in 8 to 10 mile an hour winds, handled just fine. Didn't have any issues. It's very stable. I can hang on that post and I'm 200 pounds. I can lean all the way out and the boat barely lifts over. I've had 2 adults on one side and I've done the same thing. Both very stable. Wind, yes. You know, maybe if you go out in 30 mile an hour winds, you're an idiot. Will it handle it? Don't know. I'm not gonna find out unless it's a sheer accident. A storm pops up while you're out there, then you're not gonna have a choice but to deal with it. But am I gonna go launch on a day that I know is windy? No. You have to use common sense. Like I said, on Facebook, there's a lot of people with comments about, don't take that out in the ocean. Don't go out on a windy day. Like, really? I mean, the ocean? Why would I take a small craft out like this on the ocean? You know, unless I lived in Cuba and I'm trying to get to Florida. You know, I'm not going to try to cross 100 miles of ocean and something on barrels, which I'm sure is possible if you choose your weather correctly. Am I going to do it? No. I'm not going to go out in tropical storm winds. I'm not going to have this in the water. Just going to be on a trailer secured in my yard. If I'm gonna pick a spot in my yard and I'm gonna drill 4 anchors. You know, if anything above 60 mile an hour winds comes, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm strapping down. About 2 months ago, we had a bad storm with 60 mile an hour winds, and this was on blocks in my backyard, and the cabin was up. I even had a tarp in here, and it handled just fine. I was worried I was gonna lose it. It was gonna get pushed off the blocks, flip over my yard. It was fine. See, I've rambled on enough. If you made it this far, I really want to thank you, because I've done a lot of rambling in this video, but I wanted to do it to give y'all a better perspective of what I have invested and what can be expected if I were to sell this. I would say $15,000 would be the absolute minimum for the whole package delivered, ready to go, but I don't want to sell it like that. My floating dock business relies on this trailer. I need this trailer, so if I sell it, I have to go buy me a brand new trailer or find a used one. There's not a lot of used pontoon trailers in my area. There's not a lot of used pontoon boats in my area, which is another comment that pops up a lot on Facebook groups. You'd have been better off starting with a used pontoon. It would have been cheaper. It would not have been cheaper in my area. A used pontoon with papers, with a rotten deck, no motor, and just 2 19-inch pontoons, I'm looking at $2,500, and it may or may not have papers. Or a pontoon that's in decent shape with a motor, but still it's only 2 pontoons with papers and a trailer, I'm looking at $5,000 to $7,000 in my area. Pontoon boats are just not popular down here, so when they do come up for sale, they want a high price. Sometimes you run across a pontoon $1,500, but no papers. You know, Louisiana's one of the hardest states to get papers on a boat. If you don't know the last registered owner, you're not getting papers on it. You know, if the person you buy from, a trick they do on Marketplace here, you just got to send off the papers. There's no sending off of papers in Louisiana. If you don't know the person who is registered on and they're not willing to sign over papers, you cannot get papers. There is an option I spoke about in a previous video. It's called affidavit of ownership. That's where you provide your bill of sale and a description of how you got it. You send that off, it goes to a court. It'll cost you up to $500 in court costs for a judge to decide if that vessel is yours. If he decides it's not yours, you lost your $500 and you still can't get papers on it on a vessel you have sitting in your yard. You can't do anything with it. So I don't gamble on boat papers. That's why I didn't start with a pontoon boat. It was cheaper for me to build the way I built versus buying an existing platform and modifying. Again, thank y'all for viewing. I've done my normal rambling and carrying on. Y'all enjoy this beautiful weekend. Thank y'all for the likes, the subscriptions, the comments, and the shares. It means a lot. My YouTube channel is growing unexpectedly. This houseboat and floating docks really helped that, and I wasn't planning on having a big YouTube channel, but I'm almost got 1,000 subscribers right now. Where 6 months ago I was 200 something subscribers, maybe 180. And I blew up partly because of this. People like seeing projects. So do I. Yeah, have a good one.